You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Matt McGackie, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians. We talk all about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. If you've ever wanted to sneak backstage and share a beer with one of your favorite musicians, well, Vox and Hops is the podcast for you. This week on the podcast, I dropped a killer episode with Kelly Schaefer of Atheist. There is this episode and over 440 other ones to help you enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. So what are you waiting for? It's time to become a Vox and Hops head. Cheers.
Hello, world. What is going on? You are listening to a very tired Blake who just got home from Gearfest and is in the process of getting all these files together so that you can have a podcast tomorrow. I was just at Sweetwater. If you listened to last week's episode, you know I was at Gearfest collecting a ton of content. So I did a bunch of videos. I don't usually do videos, as you're aware. It was my first time out with a actual camera. I really didn't know what I was doing with it, but I figured the only way to learn is to throw myself into the fire and just try to climb out. And I did learn a lot. I'm going to be learning even more as I move forward. But yeah, it was a fun experience. But what I did do, I recorded a bunch of podcasts while I was there. They set me up in Studio B there. They have an amazing suite of studios at Sweetwater, and I got to use one of them for the entirety of Gearfest, and it was great. I was pulling people in as much as I possibly could. I was trying to grab as much content that I otherwise wouldn't have gotten to get. So I got some great stuff coming for you over the next few weeks, some of which you've seen teased here and there, some of which it will be a surprise. But this one, I thought that this particular interview it's not really an interview. It's a conversation. It's a conversation with a bunch of people who've all been on the podcast before, who are part of the whole Tone Mob and greater guitar gear podcasting / media / building / I don't know. I'm very tired right now. I'm just going to be straight up with you. I'm very exhausted while I record this. Anyway, we have Emily from Get Offset. We have Jason from Working Class Music. We have Zach Broyles from Mythos Pedals / the Dipped in Tone podcast. Yeah, they've all been guests on the show before. They're all super cool people with super cool perspectives. And I basically came at them with a Gearfest recap of sorts. This was recorded in the morning of the last day of Gearfest, which was yesterday as I record this. 2 days ago as of the published date, but yesterday for me. Anyway, we went through and kind of just talked about Gearfest in general and then just got into some higher level topics about the way we make music, the way we think about music, and just some general conversations. And I really, really, really enjoyed this episode. So let's get right into it. This is not the first episode I recorded at Gearfest, but I thought it was a nice primer for all of the episodes to come, which were recorded at Gearfest. And for the patrons, just so everyone's on the same page, the patrons are going to get a big, huge pile of podcasts dropped into their feed very, very soon. Probably before the end of the week, I'm going to attempt to have all of the Gearfest podcasts available early for patrons. So you're going to get them way, way in advance of the public. So if that's something that you would like to get early access to, along with all of the exclusive interviews, you can go to patreon.com/tonemob and help out the show there and get just a big old pile of content. A huge, massive pile of content. All right, anyway, you get the idea. Let's get into this episode. Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast, the show about guitar stuff, occasionally, sometimes. And with me today, I have Zach Broyles from Mythos Pedals.
Hello.
Emily Harris from the Get Offset Podcast /
Howdy.
YouTube show.
Yeah.
And Jason Mays from Working Class Music, Media Empire Extraordinaire.
It's gonna be.
Yeah.
Make it sound like I'm Suge Knight or somebody.
You're gonna be.
Gonna be the Suge Knight of gear demos.
Yeah, I'll just hold Vanilla
Yes,
Ice
yes.
over, sign over your rights.
Yes.
It's like, who are you gonna hold over the balcony?
Probably Xander.
Oh,
Probably Xander.
Probably.
Yeah.
Gotta be the white boy.
Yeah.
Your token white boy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got to be him.
So we're at the last day of Gearfest. We've all had some time to absorb the Gear Festivalness.
yes.
And how are you guys feeling right now?
It's an interesting thing. It's cool, but it's different.
Very different.
Because I think I approached it thinking it's going to be like NAMM or something,
Mm-hmm.
but it's totally not.
Right.
I have
Emily?
no idea what to expect. I kind of went in without expectations. And I'm glad because I mean, I couldn't have possibly have had the correct expectations. This
Right.
has been astounding. Nice. It's still been loud.
Yeah.
Well, mostly because of the JBL booths. Love them. Sounds great. But every once in a while, you just hear them showcasing how to turn things up and how good it sounds that loud. I'm like, that does sound very good. However,
It also sounded that same level of good like 5 times ago.
oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Jason, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. So far, this experience has been wonderful. Like, Sweetwater's been awesome. The only thing I would change is a little bit more sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
Mhm.
And it's just like, but at the same time, I think I was telling Tia, I was like, you know what? I'm exhausted a little bit, but I'm so happy to be here. It's like, I'm still waking up early and being like, let's go get the day.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's like, I don't know why they thought to start the first shuttle at 7:30. 7:30.
Yeah.
Don't they know
it's
what we
still-
are?
Yeah, that's a little bit much for me. I did do it the
Oh,
first day,
yeah.
and I could have done it today, actually. I woke
Yeah.
up and I was like, I don't think I'm going back to sleep. And
Yeah.
I got my whole family here, so I'm just like laying there in the dark going, I could really use an extra hour, but I'm also not going to get it, I don't think.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I think it depends on what time zone you come from.
Yeah.
'Cause
Mhm.
I wake up and I was like, oh, this is fine. This is
That-
great.
That's how it was the first day. I woke up and I wanted to say it was like 5:30. I was like, all right, let's go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then like today is like, it finally kicked in because like last night we were hanging out and I was just like, I'm getting really sleepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I woke up this morning and I was like, I'm still tired. And I
Mhm.
was
Yeah.
like, but I was like, you know what? I'm here and I am happy about that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I don't want to leave the hangs,
So, yeah.
but also I know I'm gonna wake up when the sun comes up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think everybody looks like they're going fairly hard at it. Like I kind of came in, I was like, I'm going to get as much as I physically can get done. Like I'm here. I'm not going to have this opportunity at any other point. Like, let's do everything that you possibly can. Take advantage of the situation and get stuff that people might find interesting that you can't do from the comfort of your own shred shed.
Yeah,
So, you know,
the comfort of your own shred.
it's fairly comfortable.
Yeah,
Not as comfortable as this, though. I'd never in my wildest dreams expected to be in a nice studio like this.
Pretty
Yeah.
swanky. The whole place is like, and this is nice.
Yeah.
yeah.
I heard they had
Looking
their
around.
own. I heard they had their own spa.
Oh no,
Do
I
they
got my
really?
haircut. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
What?
Yeah, I got a haircut. Shout out to Maria.
Oh, Maria.
She was great. I looked like a glamorous rock star yesterday. And
How's that different than any other day?
I mean, the hair.
Okay.
When you
all
get
right.
a blowout, it really,
all right,
it
all right.
does
Oh
a thing.
my God. It
It's a
was
feeling.
so voluptuous, my hair. And I'm like, I need to wait to film until it like mellows a skosh. It was Atia, like when y'all were coming up to the balcony last night, she's like, I didn't even recognize you. I was like,
No.
yeah, because my hair looked good.
I think it was funny because I think I saw you at the Gibson booth right after, and I was like, "Oh, that's Emily." I was like, "Oh, the hair looks good."
Thank you. I was so excited. They were like, what are you most excited about? I'm like, it's not the haircut, but that's like, for some reason, I'm really jazzed about that.
Well,
It made
when
me
you-
feel like really
yeah,
like,
you feel good.
it made me feel special.
Yeah.
Oh,
Honestly.
yeah.
They're like, we're taking care of your haircut. I'm like,
Nice.
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 Great.
So, other than your haircut, like, has there been any gear stuff that I mean, obviously we all knew who was going to be here, but was there anything that took you by surprise so far, or anything that stands out as like, wow, I'm super glad I would have never known this existed, or I didn't realize this was as cool as it was, or anything like that?
Yeah, the Supro Royale amp.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kind of enamored with it. Like, it has a lot of great tone possibilities. You can toggle for kind of like a more of a clean Fender sound, or toggle down for a good Supro sound. But one cool thing is you turn the master volume down all the way if the reverb is still up. you just get the wet signal. It's just the
Ooh,
reverb. That was pretty cool.
that
It
is
was like
cool.
an old Silvertone trick sort of thing.
I
yeah,
like that,
I
yeah.
heard Rhett was playing with it. It was pretty cool.
He loves that reverb.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
It was great.
I played the new Black Star amps.
Oh, I haven't got to
you
try those yet.
did?
It's really good. I felt like a lot of the demo videos sold them a little short because they look great. That it has a logo that lights up,
Mhm.
very matchless,
Mhm.
sort of inspired. But when you plug into it, especially like a humbucker guitar, you're like, oh, that's that British thing that you expect Black Star to do, and it really sounds good.
Oh,
And
that's
it
cool.
really
And-
weighs nothing.
Oh yeah, it literally does. And the SE Silver Sky,
Mhm.
I hadn't played one, and it boggled my mind how good it was for the money. It's insane.
Did you play it back to back to the?
Well, I played the core right after, and the
Mm.
core is definitely like you can tell like that's a PRS core instrument.
Mm.
But the SE was, I mean, it was no slouch, and I mean, I don't know, Fender, like
Eh.
pay attention.
Yeah.
You know?
The pickups were really, when I played it at Guitar House, it was really unique. Like
Mhm.
every setting did sound so different.
Well, it reminds me of a vintage S style guitar. I mean, it's like they're doing it right. I mean, and John,
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a guy that knows, but it really surprised me, like genuinely. It takes a lot for me to get shocked by a guitar.
Mm-hmm.
So
You played a few.
I
Yeah.
played a handful
Yeah.
in my day.
Just a couple.
I played to some place called Carter's Vintage.
Yeah, I don't know. I
you
talk about it. A drink.
Yeah, I would add on it. I mean, like you already know. You were there yesterday. You already know. I was. Yeah, not to say I haven't had much experience with Ernie Ball because I've had, but I was just like the Cutlass, just all their guitar, like everything that we played there was just amazing. Like
Yeah.
I was like, is this just like my first time playing like an Ernie Ball outside of like a big box music store where it's actually set up and
Yeah.
I'm just missing this wow factor. But for me, it was like, this plays great. It sounds great. It's like, maybe it's the amp. I don't know. Like, but
No,
From-
I can tell you,
Those
it's not
victories
just
are
the
cool
amp.
though.
Yeah, they are cool.
They're cool,
Mhm.
but I remember when I had demoed the Stingray guitar, I'm like, this is legitimately the nicest guitar I've ever played. It felt so good. Like I felt like there were no flaws in it. And I'm like, this is almost like uncanny valley of like perfection in
Yeah.
a lot of ways.
yeah.
I think a lot of people sleep on Ernie Ball.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
As far, I mean, like when I was growing up, and it, like probably for you too, like I think most of us only consider Ernie Ball to be like a bass company,
Yeah.
because everyone played like Stingrays and
Mhm.
stuff. And
Yeah.
I mean, there were guitars, but I think,
They were an afterthought in some
Yeah.
ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not for them.
but in like
for-
the early 2000s
Yeah.
and like late 90s, I think everyone like there were so many electric guitars, but in the past few years, they've always had that quality. But I think they're starting to become more a part of the conversation, as they should, because they're
Yeah.
incredible instruments.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have no idea if this is true. This is just me spouting like internet nonsense that I've heard on forums over the years, which, it must be true. It's on the internet. But I heard a rumor that Paul Reed Smith was at a guitar shop and he, was there with his guitars doing some sort of presentation. And obviously we know PRS's reputation for quality is well deserved, And he said, I'll put this up against any other guitar in the shop. And then somebody's like, grabbed a Music Man and started coming. He's like, not that one. Oh, Tim Pierce was just peeking in here. Well, get in here. But yeah, I don't have any idea if that's true, but I've heard that rumor floating around the internet for a while. And it's true, though. I do think Music Man are up there.
Oh, yeah.
And-
Absolutely.
And it is kind of slept on. I played the Kaizen, the Tosin Napasi one.
I
I
gotta play
did too.
that.
That was great.
I gotta play it.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
Like, it's not really like something I think people would think of me playing,
Mm-hmm.
but I definitely would. I was having a good time with it.
I picked up the Majesty 8 because I demoed the Majesty 7. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, this is officially too many strings.
The 8 was
The
too
8,
many.
oh my gosh. Like I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna. I would need a lot of time with it.
Getting McKinley that works with me that you guys have met, well, through all this, he got an 8. And it's all about like finding the tuning that works for you as a player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can't just go to it and have it tuned down and like, the normal guitar tuning and expect it to be like click in your brain. But yeah.
They got 10 minutes. Yeah.
Oh,
Bum, bum, bum.
Man, well, that sounded like a Godfather-esque threat. Like, tell them they got 10 minutes.
No, that's the schedule. There was a question about shuttle schedules.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
I just realized I left my charging cable for my phone in one of the shuttles. That's cool.
Oh, man.
Ooh.
I don't
Never
that's
get
gonna
it
be-
back.
I bet they sell them here.
Oh
They
yeah.
probably
I
do.
know
They sell
they totally
everything.
do, yeah.
They sell SD cards because I know Ryan Burke ran out of SD cards.
Well, we got that fantastic Tascam one, the little recording device.
Mhm.
yeah.
And it didn't have an SD card, so we came and we got that yesterday.
All right, there you go.
that Tascam is amazing.
It's really cool.
It
like
looks
I
awesome.
was like that just has different built-in settings for like different processes. Like, oh, are you doing music? Are you doing a podcast?
Ah, there it is.
Yeah.
The
we can put it on camera. Look
the
at
Porta
this.
Capture.
Yeah.
It came with batteries,
X8.
but not an SD card.
Yeah.
Can you turn it on so we can? I'm sure it
I haven't
won't.
opened mine yet.
Okay.
It's on the side.
Oh, I gotta open mine tonight because it's coming with me on the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Got a big touch
You
screen.
can do
Got a
some
big touch
podcasting
screen.
on the plane.
Oh yeah. We just,
I
you know.
like
Seriously? That's
Well,
I
awesome.
might.
No,
I maybe.
no.
Oh,
I
man.
gotta do something. My seatmates will love me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just. Let me go home. General settings. Like it's got even camera settings. I can't.
Did we say the name of it, or did we say that
Yeah.
Tascam thing?
It's the
Yeah,
Porta
it is. That's
Capture.
the launcher view,
Mhm.
and it has different like if you want to do music or just voice. But then there's this different podcast one.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's exciting.
And
There's a tuner.
Perfect.
it's got like through it's got like a through thing for a
Mhm.
camera on the side, so you
Yeah.
can like run
then-
it through your camera, and it's got a
Dude.
shoe and everything to mount it to
Yeah.
a camera or a cage or whatever.
I
It's great.
recommend.
I didn't realize
recommend
how
getting,
cool it was.
Yeah, I recommend doing a cage. What's funny is my husband had like a much older version of this, and I got it got stuck, like the spring and it broke, so it wouldn't like let it out. I tried taking the whole thing apart gingerly, and like the last physical thing you can get to is that. And I said, I guess so I just like the mic cable was just forever in it.
Holy crap! Is that a tuner?
It is a tuner.
Yeah.
It's got a built-in tuner.
You want to sing?
Yeah.
No. Oh,
No.
Yeah.
I think it was 6. No.
How low can you go?
There's also this is pretty amazing.
Can't go that high.
It's really cool.
That is.
Yeah.
Very nice. And the built-in XY mics
Yeah.
like on the top.
Yeah.
So
And then
You can even rotate them the other
Can
way.
you
can.
take those out? And
Yeah, and you can put another.
there's two eighth inch
Oh,
jacks on the top.
this is
Yeah.
even cooler than I thought it
So
was.
you could run like labs or something.
Yeah.
Or,
That's
Honest-
so
or a
rad.
converter because
Yeah.
you can get those converters and you can do just 6 standard inputs.
Honestly, I
That's
got
awesome.
that, and I was just like, after that mixed cast, I was like, does it kind of make the mixed cast redundant? And I was like, am I just being a hoarder? Like,
Well, the Mixcast
Yes, and that's
has a lot
fine.
of other features like than that does. Like it's easier to control levels. It's not as portable. It's still pretty portable. It didn't weigh very much because we also a couple of us got the Mixcast 4, and I've been wanting one of those for remote podcasting for a while. And I think that's probably easier to do if you have like the time to set it up. If you're really on the go,
Mhm.
and
That
this
little
is like
handy cam kind of thing.
the perfect backup for anything too. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
I mean, it weighs like a pound or something, and you could always have a studio in your pocket.
I was floored
so-
by how lightweight it was.
Yeah, it's great. USB-C, which is good.
Mhm.
So really cool, really cool.
That is
Yeah.
super cool. I'm excited to play around with it.
Yeah.
likewise.
Yeah. Airplane podcasting. Here we
Here we
come.
Oh,
So,
I've actually I've
Finally.
used those to podcast on trains.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I was the first time I think I was going up to the Vancouver Guitar Festival show or whatever. I wanted to do kind of like an NPR style thing. So I like had it out on the train, like kind of awkwardly, like in the meal cart. Like, and I'm on my way to Vancouver, and we just passed a shipwreck on the train on the Amtrak, and it was really fun. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, so what's on the agenda for today? I know you're doing a live podcast
Oh
later.
yeah.
Yeah. So I somehow Rhett and his cohorts
Mhm.
coerced Sweetwater into letting us do a live version of Dipped in Tone. Our plan is very loose. I have no idea where we're doing it or what to expect, but we apparently are doing it and live streaming it on Rhett's channel. So
Okay.
Wow.
Oh, wow. So you're
I
doing-
didn't realize it was it was also streaming live.
yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
It's gonna be the whole thing. So
Are you
Wow.
using a Mixcast 4?
no, we've got like a black Blackmagic or some sort of like
nice.
Yeah.
live streaming like camera switcher and that all. He has a portable live streaming rig that he built for the JHS Pedals the Musical.
Yes.
Mm.
Oh, Rhett did that?
Mhm.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Not just playing guitar on it, as one may think.
It was part of that, and I think it was part of his backstage live setup too. Even though that's like that was way more complicated. I don't know if you guys saw that, where he would have like a live performance in his basement
Mhm.
and have cameras and like an audio engineer. But he's got some gear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It knows how to
I
use
love
it.
Yeah. And I'm sure the audience knows this, but since we just gave first names, that's Rhett Scholl,
Yes.
YouTuber. People who watch this or listen to this know who he is, I am sure.
Yeah.
But in case we just, that could have been an any Rhett. We just left it at that.
I don't
You know?
even know
Rhett
another.
Miller.
I don't know another Rhett.
I know a couple
Yeah,
Rhetts.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
I don't know another Rhett.
I just know Rhett Miller from the old 97s.
Mm-hmm.
Not personally.
Oh, no. What are you doing the rest of the day? What do you guys got cooking?
I'm tagging along for their episode of Working Class Music at UA.
Ah.
I think I'm meeting with ESP guitars. I'm going to try to film some of the Martin guitars because I was walking down from like my haircut and I see at the Martin booth like an old friend of mine, Ramin. And he does a lot of their product stuff. He worked on a couple of the Martin patents and
Mhm.
really worked on that offset acoustic series that they have.
Cool.
So that was really cool. Like I was just like, I almost cried when I saw it. I was so excited.
You're
I was
like,
I
hey.
didn't know.
That guitar is incredible.
Oh, yeah.
You can
The-
adjust the intonation by moving the neck.
I haven't played
Yeah.
it.
It's insane.
Is that
Wow.
the premiere version or is it all of them?
I think it's just that real
Yeah.
high end one. But yeah, there's a
Yeah.
set screw. You loosen the strings and you can push the nut out to set the intonation. So if
Whoa.
you're not moving the bridge, you're moving the nut.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's
And
crazy.
the neck on that, it varies. Like at some places it's wider on one side for like your cowboy chords and it changes as you get farther up.
Mhm.
So you really do have completely full fret access in a way I've never had on an acoustic guitar and
Wow.
haven't had on every electric.
Do they have one here?
Oh yeah.
There's the different tiers.
Yeah.
Really cool.
I wasn't going to go by there, but now I might have to.
You
That
have
sounds
to.
really cool.
And you
Yeah.
have to play the Rich Robinson, the aged, the D28.
No,
which is
yeah,
incredible.
I did. I really liked that. I wasn't expecting to like that one as much, but yeah. And then they have their 2.5 millionth guitar, that really special
Whoa.
Bejeweled one. Yeah,
I want to
And-
play it.
That's
I
a lot
saw
of
it-
guitars.
I
That's
saw
a-
it at NAMM, but it was in a glass case and kind of elevated. But the way we can see it now, because it was at NAMM, it's here and then it's going back in their museum.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually look in the sound hole and see they have like these little mini plaques or whatever that commemorate different things. Have Ramin give you a tour of that guitar. It's
Cool.
I put one on TikTok, just him talking about it. It's really, really neat.
Super cool.
You got real diamonds on it.
Real
Yeah.
diamonds. Oh.
No.
Like, oh, let me go
And it
ahead
was Chris Martin IV late wife's jeweler who did it.
Wow.
So it's a labor of love in that. And then the pick guard is like a map of New York City, and it has like the original factory with a ruby there.
Oh, wow.
And then the headstock has the Stars of Bethlehem because they're in
Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, right?
Pennsylvania, yeah.
Mhm.
I was
I
like, state, come on, state,
Yeah.
come on, state.
I should say not to be confused with Chris Martin from Coldplay because that
Yes.
looks like a Coldplay guitar. Like I saw it and I was just like, Chris Martin, and it had to register for a second. I was like, yeah, that does look like the album cover of Cold, like something they did.
CF Martin, no, CF Martin
Yeah.
the fourth, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So that was it felt special to be able to see that. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, I feel like this is kind of exclusive.
And Jason, you're going to UA, obviously, as
Yep.
Emily touched on.
Funny enough, I'm working with these two today.
Oh,
So I'm a guest on the podcast. I was looking at the schedule. I was like,
Nice. Oh,
yeah,
are
I was
you?
I don't know how that. So everybody's apparently a guest on the podcast.
yeah.
I'm confused.
yeah.
Or were they just telling us to go to
I
it?
think we're
don't
just
understand.
going. I think.
I think, but I don't know.
Who
Does Rhett
knows?
know?
It's not.
No.
well, I'm
you
inviting
met
myself.
us?
Do you want
Like-
Like,
guests?
I'm planning on going. I
Well,
just
I'm
don't
inviting
know.
myself as a guest on the
I'm
podcast.
gonna
Yeah.
walk up and
That,
was
that was a
like-
power move,
Yeah,
man.
it's like I'm going on this podcast.
Guys, I'm here to be dipped.
yes.
All right, like Rhett, I'm here.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
Yeah. I know you have been expecting me.
You've been expecting. That's what the. Oh, you're not okay. I'm still here.
Oh, yes, well,
It's
you
on the
forgot.
schedule.
You
I
forgot.
know.
It's on the
Power
schedule.
Yeah.
I don't
I'm
know
not-
what's going on.
Well, they kind of did that with the rodeo games too. Like a lot of us thought, oh, we're gonna do the game. Cool. I don't know about you guys, but I was doing push-ups. I was training. I was ready to throw some calves.
I was not training. I was not training at all. I was like,
you still won.
I did.
You still won. Good for you.
Well, my team won, but I was just like, man, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Because like when we were throwing the water bottles, like I
That was
actually cut
hilarious.
myself
That was
on
the
the stage, and I was like, oh, I am bleeding, but this shirt's red, so no one's going to notice.
That's so metal.
So I was just like, oh, but it was a lot harder than it looked. I will say that before I go off on that tangent.
Actually, it looked pretty hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, those games those games were a lot harder because I was just like, oh, I'm usually a gym buff, and I was like, outside of like depression in life, I was just like, I'm not going to the gym. I'll be all right. And it's like, and then you got Dovidas over here, just like just swole as hell, and I was like, oh, he's on my team. I'm definitely be
blanking
all
on
right.
that drummer's name. I've never seen someone jump so much.
Oh, Casey Cooper.
Yeah, Casey
Yeah.
Cooper.
Mhm.
Like he could just like do a vertical jump onto the stage. And
Yeah.
he did it a bunch of times, and he would jump off the stage and do like a big kick. Like I'm like,
It was
Well,
impressive.
he's rather tall.
Yes.
He is tall.
He's
tall.
athletic
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Tall is not guaranteed athleticism.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
also could kick like my head off.
Yeah.
Like,
And then he threw the sticks at the gong. And he got 3 in a row.
mhm.
That was like 30 feet.
Yeah, but what was amazing was afterwards when he was juggling them.
Yes, and then he threw
yeah.
it. Yeah. Oh my
Mhm.
god.
Like when he did it the first time, I was just like, damn, he's good. And then he did that, I was like,
Wow.
He's really
Oh, it's
good.
like that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun to watch. My biggest contribution is I was drinking a water and I was like, I don't see any garbage cans. And then I was like, oh, there's a
There's
garbage
one.
can right up there. And it hadn't started, that part
Yeah.
hadn't started. I was like,
It's
wow,
that's a weird place to put a
I
garbage
was like, they
can.
drank a lot of water. And I just put it, and so I just kept seeing all of them had the labels taken off except mine. Mine was kept just launching up with the one bottle with
so whoever
labels.
edits that is gonna be like,
I told him not to put Niagara bottles in there.
We'll find out
so
today.
it's gonna this one little blur, just like trying to track one blur across the
I
stage.
kept seeing it go, and I'm
my
like,
God.
that wasn't a garbage can. Okay. All right. I was like, this is a weird place for a garbage can.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, whoever edits that's gonna be pissed.
Mhm. Like, I told him not to put any labels on.
Legal's gonna kill me.
Yeah. It's wild. But I can't wait to watch the edited version because like the trailer would look pretty good. I was like,
Oh, I haven't seen the trailer.
yeah.
Yeah, the trailer, that was fun. Like, because they did everybody for the bumpers.
Mhm.
And then I was just like, okay, going in, I was like, what are we doing? And then it's like, oh, this is super professional.
Yeah.
Oh, this is, and then I saw the final product and I was just like, this is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I give them a raise.
Yeah.
Well, again, we're talking like inside baseball a little bit. If people haven't seen it yet, or I don't know if this might come out before it gets published. What
I
we're
thought
talking
they were trying
about.
to publish it this weekend.
Oh, are they? The full
Oh,
thing?
yeah, I think they're premiering it today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like I was shocked by the turnaround.
Okay. Well, in that case, we're talking about rodeo games, and it's Rodeo.
Oh.
So,
That's funny.
Yeah.
That was a better name than the Rodeo Olympics.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, I agree. So it's just basically a spin on weird situations a roadie might find themselves in, and two teams competing against each other to try to win. And you should definitely go watch that video if you're listening or watching this. It's awesome.
I posted like one clip of the microphone stand up thing, and people were like, "Oh, it's like Wayne's World." I was like, "Oh my god, it is!"
Yeah.
But they were like, "Where's the tennis balls?"
Right? Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
How about you?
Me
Yeah.
today? I don't want to jinx it, but I'm like kind of nervous because these things, when you get really excited about something, that's like the thing that falls apart half the time. But like, supposedly at 11, I'm interviewing Shavo from System of a Down, and
Yeah,
I'm like,
nice.
I will definitely be coming back around.
Yeah.
So
I'm inviting myself on that.
I'm like, oh, because I went to the Ashdown booth, and those guys were great.
Oh, they're great.
Yeah, they're nice.
And we were talking about, because I'm actually bought a bass. That's like the last thing I did before I came down here. And I was like, I don't have a good bass amp. So we were nerding out on stuff. And I said, well, I want you guys to come on the podcast because this is so cool. It's like you and your dad who started the company, who came from Trace Elliott. I'm like, oh, this is a great story. Like, I totally perfect for the podcast. He's like, we'll do that sometime. But who you really need to talk to is Shavo. I'm like, he's going to be here? He's like, yeah, he's coming on Saturday. I was like,
yep.
And he's like, let me text him. I'm like, okay. Yeah, all right. So I'm
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed that goes according to plan because he'll be sitting here hopefully in a
Right.
couple hours. So that's the
Nice.
thing I'm most jazzed about. Clearly,
Do you get nervous?
Yeah, an hour.
do I
those
get
sort of
nervous?
things?
Not really. I get excited,
Yeah.
but I don't really get nervous. I've had a few episodes with people I really admire,
Mm-hmm.
and I've ripped that Band-Aid off already, and feel like I did a pretty good job. So
Yeah.
I don't get nervous anymore. I'm sure there's somebody, like I'm sure if I was interviewing Paul McCartney, I'd get a little
Oh,
sweaty.
yeah.
I mean,
You go full
could-
Chris Farley.
Wait, could I curse?
You already did.
Oh yeah, I did. If I were you and in Chavo, I would be brick. Like I'm not gonna lie, especially like now growing up, System of a Down was one of my favorite
Oh yeah,
bands ever.
absolutely. Toxicity did not leave my Walkman
Yeah, and
for a year and a half.
and I think
Yeah.
Walkman, wow.
Yeah,
I was like,
I was gonna say Discman.
Yeah,
Was it a
Discman.
disc walk?
that was a
Yeah.
Discman. Sorry.
Yeah.
but
sorry. Yeah.
But yeah, I was gonna say because you were the one who told me yesterday. I was like, oh yeah, Arrow's my favorite song. I was like, actually, did you know
Mhm.
Chavo wrote that?
I did not, and then I went, ooh,
I
yeah,
didn't know that either.
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
I forgot who it was, but I'm giving them credit.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm pretty
Sweet.
excited. So yeah, I'm like, okay, that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Don't. Yeah, and it'll be me like, oh, I forgot to arm the track. Oh, here we
Right.
go.
Yeah.
But no, it should be pretty good. And I've been told by multiple people that he's super cool. Actually, a guy I interviewed, he's a producer primarily, or at least that's what he's known for. He goes by Morgoth Beats. He's done stuff with Juice WRLD
Oh wow.
and MGK actually, and then recently he was doing something with Chavo. And so I had him on the show because he's also in a metalcore band called Winds of Plague, and he's just a super cool dude. Oh, you know that band?
Yeah, I know when's to play.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
They're so good. But yeah, he's a really cool dude, Michael. But yeah, Morgoth Beats is what he goes by, and he was doing something with Chavo. So I don't know what. I'm gonna talk to him about that too. So
yeah, I know.
Sweet.
I know that he's doing the live stream at some point. Chavo.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
guess
think
that starts at 3.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's coming in and like. I think I'm grabbing him just after he does a sound check or something. I'm not exactly
Yeah.
sure, but
Because I went down to that booth. I'm like, oh, I'd like to film today, and they're like, there might not be anybody here, but you're welcome to. Like, we got to hold a rock star's
yeah.
hand, you know.
Yeah, Jared James Nichols came in today.
Yeah, I saw him.
Yeah.
I'm buddies with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never met him before today. He seems super chill.
He's
He's
super-
also even larger than I thought he was.
a
Yeah, that
big
dude
guy.
is. No, not only is he tall, that dude is jacked.
he's jacked. I
he's
was
a
like,
mountain
whoa.
of a man.
Yeah.
I was like, when you guys were talking, I was like, I hope he hasn't watched rodeo games yet and see how I was throwing those bottles at him.
Oh, he saw it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, he's probably gonna just come over there and just like punch my head off. But, like,
No,
He's
he
a
seems nice.
sweet guy. He's so nice.
I saw him at God, I guess it was last year's Summer NAMM at the Hailstorm show, and I was like, he's tall.
Yeah.
You don't usually expect musicians to look that athletic.
Yeah.
It's funny though. Jared James Nichols. My wife's name, her maiden name is Nichols,
Mhm.
and all her family is.
So
like,
is my
super
wife's
tall.
maiden name.
Oh, really?
Is
Are
also
they all
Nichols.
tall?
Oh.
No.
Oh, I was just like, that's weird. I wonder if all the Nichols are tall, but probably not.
Statistically, it seems unlikely.
Yeah.
But you don't know. You never know.
funny enough though, like the cutout we were throwing at, I thought that was like a super tall cutout, and I
I
was like,
think it's
now,
life size.
now I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's life size. Like it dawned on me after I saw him this
Yeah.
morning. I was like, that's life size.
Yeah, you see him play Les Paul, and you're like, man, it looks like a
That was
Yeah.
tiny.
small
It looks
guitar.
like one of those Harmony Junos.
Yeah. Yeah, I interviewed Peter Dinkelson. He was actually the first person that I had talked to, and him and Dee Dee, his mom. And yeah, they were talking. He played with Jared here recently, which was pretty cool. They were super stoked that he was going to be here, but they missed him. But they did. I don't think they knew what the cardboard cutout was for until that day, because they'd seen him walking around with it, and Peter took a selfie with it and sent it to him. And so yeah, they were pretty bummed they had to jet out of here before he got here. But you know,
got to be nerve wracking playing with a guy like that. You know, I mean, not that he's like going to intimidate you, just except for his
playing.
exceptional
His
prowess
skills,
with the
yeah.
instrument.
But Peter held it down. You know?
He's a great player.
He's
too.
great, and that kid, like, he's not a kid. He's in his 20s.
That
But you know,
grown-ass
this is
man.
old man Blake over here talking. But I was like, that kid is impressive.
Yeah,
like,
Yeah.
he's a good player.
yeah. Well, you know, it was really when I was interviewing him, he's like, oh, yeah, I've been playing for about 6 years. I'm like, I quit. 6
Oh,
years.
6 years?
Yeah. I'm like, oh,
Oh.
jeez.
Gosh.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've been playing since I was 8.
Yeah.
Well, did you guys learn Because how old are both of you?
33.
33.
I'm 36.
So did you? And you're
33.
okay.
Mhm.
So I'm a little bit older. I feel like our destination or our generation. Sorry, our
Thank you.
destination. What am I saying? Or like the last to not have YouTube to help.
Yeah.
Like reinforce our guitar playing. So
At the beginning, yeah.
was that part of your journey, like having YouTube to like help?
No.
Like,
No.
Mm-mm.
No,
but
I
you
had,
still had Tab. You had like Ultimate Guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were always wrong.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah,
was the
online.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
they were always wrong. I'd buy books,
Mhm.
that came with a CD, and I put like the CD in, and I'd like,
We were the last to do that,
Yeah.
probably.
yeah, I was at the Gibson.
I don't do it
booth.
anymore.
No.
I still do it.
It's probably better.
I still got
you
some of
know-
my tab books.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I
I
definitely
still
still have tab books.
I buy a lot of books, because I just it's how I'm used to learning.
Mhm.
But like if you want to learn something fast, YouTube is so much fast. It truly is. But then you don't always get like the why of what you're doing, and you get that from an instructional book.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, just this, you play this chord, and you play this chord, and you play this riff, and you're like, oh, cool, why?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know why about anything. I'm
Yeah.
like the most theory. Like I am
You know what makes the difference between a major and minor chord?
one sad.
All right, I'll let you have that.
Does that count?
Yes,
All right.
it does.
All right, cool. No, I'm so bad with theory. Terrible with it.
I've
okay.
never, I have trouble getting it to click. But like, if I'm like, okay, you're playing this because this is the root, and so you can play this basically whenever there's like that chord. I'm like, oh, cool. So I can like take that and I can apply it to my gigs and my playing,
Mhm.
or like modify a little bit. But yeah, theory, I've never been able to get it to click, and I think it's because the guitar really is a hard instrument to learn, because you can get the same E on every single string on the guitar.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Even the low E, you can hit that harmonic in the right place, and it's the high E.
yeah, there's something about like unlocking all the patterns, and once you do that, then the fingerboard totally opens. And that was
Yeah.
something that happened to me like in my mid-20s, where it all like clicked, and I was like, oh, that's how all my heroes go from open to the highest fret
Right.
and not miss anything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that really like helped a lot of my playing. But as far as theory, it's like, the greatest guitar players in the world, Django Reinhardt probably didn't know what a minor 7 was, but he, definitely played them.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
It's like, oh, that sounds cool.
Mhm.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, I part of it's probably because like I haven't done covers in so long.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
I do
Like-
them all the time.
Like honestly, probably 12 years. Like
Wow.
I don't really do covers. I don't play. I play with a band, but we played some covers there for fun.
Yeah.
But the ultimate goal was original material,
Mhm.
and so it was not really like, oh, I messed that up. Whatever. We're just warming up.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
We got.
I do half and half. Like I'm in 2 bands that play originals,
Mhm.
and then I almost every time I get hired, with very few exceptions, it's for like a cover night.
I don't
Makes
think
sense.
we do. Well, I don't think we do covers. I think, and this is where I kind of sound like egotist, because like, no, we just write.
We don't do covers.
We don't do covers. Actually, we're going to do one just to make our set longer. And but to chime in on the theory part, I think most musicians innately know it, but they don't know they know it. Because
Okay.
Yeah.
for me, it's just like and I guess it just depends on the people I'm around. Like Mike and Spencer in my band, we know, like, it's weird. We sound like we know we're talking about theory, and we get where everyone, like, someone's like, oh no, the chord progression is this, and you do this, and it's just like, oh yeah, so that's the same chord progression as this, and it's like, oh yeah, it's this, and this, but we have no idea.
Yeah.
And then to me, it's just like when I try to talk to other musicians about it, it's like the music store talk is like, oh yeah, you come in on the beat, that's go pat 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 do.
Mhm.
You know,
Oh
something like
yeah, trying to
So-
communicate with a drummer. just
yeah,
makes me feel so
it's
stupid.
just like
Yeah.
for me, it's just like, but trying to explain it to anyone else, like I was like, I don't know what this chord is. I
Yeah.
don't know what this is. I just know I'm used to hearing that, and I know this goes with that.
Right.
I think what's important is that you can communicate
Yeah.
what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if you know like the difference between like an eighth note and a triplet,
Right.
like that's like the kind of thing where like especially with drummers, you're like, oh, can you hit like a triplet on that, or instead of a da da da.
I will say what helped me with learning theory a little bit about drums, because I still don't know, is Easy Drummer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Easy Drummer's
yeah,
the
yeah.
best.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
having the right drum parts and like, oh, so yeah, I want a drum fill right here. That's what that is. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
I just
So-
got Easy Drummer 3, and it's like, wow, it name true to its name. It's
Yes.
easy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like some people sometimes treat theory as like a hindrance. Like
Yeah.
It won't let me just be the creative me I want to be. But there's like a limit. I feel like some guitar players take it to an extreme and they can't work beyond that.
Yeah.
They can't be free. And then some people take it the other way. You look at guys like Greg Koch,
Yeah.
who is so learned and like knows so much, but he can just do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
But he could explain it the whole time.
Yeah, that's
which
right.
is, it's interesting. And like I think whatever gets you to where you want to be at the end of the day is the only thing that matters.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
I agree with that.
It's like I don't think Kurt Cobain knew that the reason the chords in Lithium work, even though they're like really weird, is because it's like the major scale of like the fifth note of the scale or whatever. Like he didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's like it's people who go back and they're like, oh, this works. He knew it worked. Everyone who listened to it knew that it worked. But there are people who can go in and be like, well, here's why.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
Rick Beato.
like yeah, theoretically, here's why it works.
Mhm.
And that's I'm glad that we have people who can do that, because like then I learn and then I can take that and I can try to write something with that.
Or understand something you already know.
Yeah.
I forget who it was, speaking of Kurt. But they've said no one, and maybe it was an article, but no one, or maybe it was someone in conversation, and it was a good point they made. They're like, yeah, no one has correctly played Smell Like Teen Spirit since Kurt. Like, because he starts on this weird upstroke, or maybe it was another song I'm thinking of. And it's like everybody learns that song the wrong way. It might have been one of those ads of you're playing this the wrong way.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like
Those-
Blackbird. Paul McCartney's like, everyone plays Blackbird the wrong way because I don't use my middle finger when I pick it.
Hmm.
Ah.
Well, so everyone else is playing it better,
Yeah.
More efficiently.
Wow.
more
maybe?
efficiently.
Yeah. Yeah. So my friend Eddie, he actually lives down there in Nashville. You probably met him before.
Mm.
Eddie Haddad. Yeah, I don't know if I say his last name right ever, because I don't know how fast to say the D's. But he's a great dude. He's listened to the podcast forever. But I went and hung out with him last time I was down there, and he teaches, and he teaches a lot of different types of people. But we were jamming, and him and his friends are just all over the place doing all kinds of cool stuff that works. And I'm like, they're like, you take one now. I'm like, first of all, I don't do guitar solos, but second of all, you guys are all way better than me. But here we go. And I would just do some things, and none of it was all that great. But he said, what's cool about you is you've been playing long enough and you love music enough. He's like, even if you don't know what you're doing, he's like, when it doesn't work.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he said a lot of the time, some of his students, what he tries to break them out of is like, okay, they've been practicing scales with another teacher forever. So they can do scales up and down the fretboard anytime, anywhere, but it's all just playing the scale.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
using the scale to create. It's just, they're just up and down, which it's important to know. But that doesn't really teach you like how to use your brain melodically very well. And I was like, oh, well, thank you. But also, I should probably learn how to do the scale.
I
Skills are
forget
important.
Yeah.
who it was who said, it was Courtney something, and she said, not enough players, especially young players, solo the way they would like sing something.
Mhm.
So it's a lot choppier. There's no like bends into things. Like if you were singing, she's like, imagine it's your voice when you do a solo, and it's going to sound more melodic, just kind of naturally, instead of just like hard eighth notes or something that's just more natural.
Mhm.
Feels more natural to play if you haven't been playing other ways.
Well,
Yeah.
David Gilmour recorded all his solos he would improv, sing them, record that, and then learn it on the guitar.
Yeah, that's
which
I
makes
wouldn't
sense.
be surprised
Yes.
if that's where she got that.
Yeah.
That's smart, honestly.
Because you breathe,
Yeah.
and like not taking your breath it's important.
You totally just made a Pink Floyd pun.
Oh, wow.
But that I can't imagine him like that just learning that just blows my mind, because I'm like, I think of the guitar solo Comfortably Numb, and I'm just like, dude, how many takes did that take for you to like just like sing it first? And it was like, or if he nailed it in one take, and it's like, oh, I gotta go learn that.
But
I'm
then
sure
how
it's a
many
lot.
times have we done that solo with our mouth?
Oh.
Like when you think of it, and even it comes on the car, I'm like, wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh, that's probably
Yeah.
somewhat at least accurate to how he started it anyway.
Totally.
That's
Yeah.
how I'm gonna start. I'm gonna write my next solo doing that.
You
Do
should.
it.
Yeah.
Totally.
I'm gonna try it.
Absolutely.
Why not? You gotta try different things when you're writing, and that's another thing people don't always do. Like maybe start with a title or start with a hook and then write everything else around that.
Mhm.
You know, just do something that's like opposite, or just different. And I was talking about this with Gibson, Dinesh from Gibson, is that like you athletes, when like, let's say you're a batter and you want, and you've been playing the same way. So people know like you always hit your balls like up the first baseline.
Mm-hmm.
So then they shift. So then you have to go make an adjustment to try to get your ball on the where the shortstop would normally be, because the shortstop has shifted like over to where the second baseman is.
Right.
Second baseman's halfway to first base. And that's how you get on first, is by hitting it in a gap. But you need to make small adjustments to be able to do that. So like that's like a musician when you're in a rut. How do you get out of that rut? By changing something. You don't get out of a rut by doing the same thing the same way, because that's what got you in the rut in the first place.
Yeah, that's why you buy new pedals.
Yeah, honestly, that's why you get pedals that scare you.
Yeah. The microcosm, when I first got it, I was like, what am I going to do with this? And it's now one of my very favorite pedals I've ever played.
Yeah.
I'm probably the most boring pedal user in the room, which is incredibly ironic.
Yeah.
I love the pedals. I love pedals. I love them too much. Like, I think the running joke, at least on our show, is the more complicated a pedal is, like, okay, Jason, you do that. Because it's just like, for me, we're all nerds, but the nerd in me comes out trying to figure it out. And especially like with some of the Chase Bliss stuff, like I remember with the Habit, like I was like, oh yeah, I got this, figured it out. And everyone's like,
honestly, Emily Hopkins' video helped me a lot.
Yeah. Oh, for me, it was like I watched her video, and then like I was like, all right, well, I made sure not to watch a lot of videos on it, because I was like, I want the excitement of just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then I forgot who it was on. I think it was on the Chase Bliss user group. Someone was saying something like, they replied to like, oh yeah, if you've messed with Blooper or Mood, yeah, you'll get it. And I was like, okay. And then soon enough, I was like, okay, I got it.
They are the same family. You know? It was just kind of cool.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Blooper, when the first time it was showed to me was at NAMM, and Knobs was showing me. He's like, this is what it's going to do. And I first thought, like, there's no way I'm going to be able to figure that out. Like, I don't even understand half of what you just said. Yeah. Then when I got one, it wasn't that bad. It was like, I get it now. And then like a whole song I did, it would be impossible without the Blooper. It's completely based around that pedal.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was like one take, weird thing, but like it's some people's favorite. So, it's the tools sometimes are, maybe I'm trying to justify my gear buying habits, but to me, the tools inspire songs all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
You got to be inspired by something.
I'm embarrassed to say I've not played any of those pedals.
Really?
Nope.
Oh man.
Once I got out of retail, then like I didn't have them readily available to me unless like Joel sent me one. It's not because it's not a thing that I would, because I'm such a boring, I'm a boomer trapped in a, post-boomer body. Like, it's never something I would try. And it's like,
you Mr. Headless Guitar over there. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, that's different. I mean, even that, like, you probably wouldn't see a guy playing a Strandberg with the Blooper because he's playing like the Soldano, which I just bought too. Which is but like it's like my goals are so different because like anytime, and this is something weird. this happened to me when I was a kid. I got Guitar Hero. Now I'm gonna get to. There's a point.
All right.
This. And I practiced it and got good at Guitar Hero. And I thought, what am I doing? I have a real guitar. And for me, my goal was to get good at that. And anytime something like that, where I have to learn how to use something or create without my instrument, I feel like I'm doing my instrument a disservice because that's the kind of guitar player I am. And so like anytime that's happened, and I've owned a lot of weird things over the years, but it always comes back to, I just want to do something different with this, with just my hands. And most of the time when I play guitar, and I have hundreds of pedals, I don't even plug in pedals. I might have a reverb and a loop, and that's it.
Yeah, that's a lot of my at-home playing. Just I don't always want to plug in a bunch of pedals unless I have like a reason to. And I guess a lot of what I have to rehearse at home, it is the cover stuff. And frankly, those are usually like country kind of gigs. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I need a little slapback, reverb, compression, maybe a chorus, and drive.
Yeah. See, I'm the opposite. Like my pedal board my pedal board is always hooked up. And I think the thing for me is because I'm always in a writing mode and I like the creative process of pedals. Like there are certain riffs that like one of the last song ideas I wrote, I literally chopped it up like Dave Knudsen or Knudsen from Minus Tear.
Yeah.
I chopped it up like him, and then I sampled it. Like for me, it's just like I think of them as tools as well. But they're tools that will allow you to think outside the box if you utilize them properly. So when I got in my little funk of writing and I tried that, I was like, I came up with this cool loop, and I instantly had the loop save, plugged it up into my interface because I was like, oh, it's on time. So figured out the BPM and just wrote a whole song based around that. And it's for me, it's cool because then I was just like, well, I'm just going to try to use all the hardest pedals that I could and try to make a song out of this. And I did. And for me, it was one of the coolest song ideas ever. And and like every time I listen to it, like, because it's not released or anything like that. It's going to be, hopefully soon. Yeah, it's going to be. But I listened to that and I'm just like, oh man, I created that. And like a lot of it's some people be like, oh, you could have just done all that on the laptop, but I wasn't inspired to. I was inspired to do it live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So for me, it's just like, okay, cool. I have this loop saved, so I know if I wanted to ever play it live, I could do this whole song live.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what I enjoy. And I guess for me, I'm like I said, I'll learn songs, but I just like playing. Like I just like playing. So and seeing and because for a while I called it the chameleon effect, where there were certain bands like Mew, where I was just like, me and my friends were totally into them, so we would try to sound exactly like them, playing style and everything. And then for a while, I was like, wait, but what they're doing, what makes them unique is they're just doing their own thing. So I took that mindset and I was like, well, I just want to do my own thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, like I said, I just love playing with pedals and just love how they influence creativity. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say I rely on them as a crutch because a lot of the songs that I come up with, with the exception of the last song, I tend to make sure I can strip them down acoustically if need be.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
yeah, and I don't. I very much view them as a complete extension of the instrument. Mm-hmm. That's why they're almost never on the floor for me. They're up where I can manipulate them in real time, and it's almost like a weird combination of guitar and synth in kind of a weird way. The way I approach it, like. It kind of sucks to say, but I literally couldn't do a lot of what I do without a ton of stuff.
That doesn't suck.
It just wouldn't happen.
Because like there's technology in everything that we do, and there has been technology involved in music since the beginning, pretty much. Like,
That's true.
There's always been.
I guess we couldn't do anything without a guitar. That's a piece of technology.
Yeah,
in and
an
of
electric
itself.
guitar with magnetic pickups, and like it wouldn't sound the same if Ike Turner hadn't broken his speaker on the way to Sun Studios, and music wouldn't sound the same if like all the channels in that console were working correctly on that Marty Robbins session.
Right.
And it's like drums in the 80s wouldn't have sounded the same if they hadn't been like, oh, I left the talk back on.
Yeah.
It's all these accidents or advancements, I'm sorry, Jason, that have made a lot of things in music completely possible.
Yeah. I mean, that I guess going off that same thing, what I always tell people, if the gear didn't matter, then Cannibal Corpse would play ukuleles.
Well, see, I was gonna say, think about what gatekeeping was like back then. Like, especially like, oh, you're playing an electric guitar. That's not a real guitar.
Oh yeah, Dylan.
Oh, that's what they did,
the blowback that Dylan got. What? And that was even.
Yeah, Pete
after.
Seeger trying to. He's like, no one can hear the words.
So it's a lesson learned. Gatekeeping has always existed.
Yeah,
yes,
it's always
and it never should have. Yeah,
it's always boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Gatekeeping makes boring music. Like that's just what it is.
Not that folk music is boring.
No.
I actually love.
I like folk
There's
music.
a place for it, but it's like it's folk because it's always going to kind of be the same. So there's like that comfort in that. But music should, I think, advance.
Mm-hmm.
I think most things should advance, but there should be a space for the traditional, and then there should be space for advancement, and they can live together in harmony.
But I think I was going to add on to that. I think gatekeeping, if we're going to go into this world, I think gatekeeping for a little bit hurt a lot of genres. Mainly right now, you're seeing it in the rock genre, like why people, like some people won't, I said why, not white. Why people, why people won't accept like, bands, anything that's not, That's
black
not
jeans, black
Yeah.
t-shirt type
yeah,
of
like
thing.
certain
Yeah.
things, like there's a reason Greta Van Fleet is huge, and that's not to say they're not talented, but it's what people are comfortable with
Yes.
because it reminds them of this era. And you'll see like a lot of newer bands that try to do something different. Just no, they won't get respected now. Maybe in the future when that becomes the norm, and that's what is reminding of the classics. But at the same time, growing up and watching like the genre like hip hop, like where for the longest time, and I made the joke in high school about and I'm not talking about him as a person, but I'm gonna give him credit as far as changing the style of hip hop was like someone like Kanye West, because before him it was all DMX, all like you cannot be this way, and then he did it, and then it was like, okay, cool, so we're just gonna run with whatever, and now you have all these other rappers just doing whatever.
Yeah. And it's now like it was kind of clowned on, in the 2000s when like it was merging with metal in different ways, and now it's
That's cool
totally
stuff,
acceptable. It's like, oh no,
Yeah.
of course metalheads do rap.
Yeah.
Like it's weird how things become like you can't do that until you can, and then you can for some
I
reason.
mean, I remember being in middle school and we would joke that like, oh, if rap and country combined to be called crap, because that's what it would sound like.
Yeah.
And then Lil Nas X has like one of the biggest hits of like the past 10 years. With
Right.
A country hip hop song.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be people, trying new things and pushing things, and they're going to be rejected at first.
Yeah.
And I think that's not just in music. That's just in any type of creative endeavor.
Mhm.
I don't think that David Lynch was universally praised the first time he came out with something.
No, and Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush wasn't a hit in America when it was first released. Not a big one.
No.
And now she's now the youngest and oldest woman to have a number one hit in the UK.
But that's
amazing.
so
Yeah,
crazy.
But I
because
think
she was
that-
19 and then 63.
I think that's also true in the gear community, because it's like, some people will chastise like some of the bigger brands for not like doing newer shapes and doing newer like designs and like relying on old things, but when they do, they don't sell.
That's the thing.
Or they get made fun of. Like,
Yeah.
I think Acoustasonics sell.
Yeah.
I think people buy them, but they get clowned on.
Yeah.
Like, well, okay,
It's
now you're
largely that
complaining.
by people who haven't
Yeah.
played them, though, I think.
I think so.
Because
too.
I was a little bit anti when I was like, what is that?
What is
I played
that?
one and was like, oh.
Yep, I get it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I played one and I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah.
See, I played one and I was like,
Come on, Zach.
No.
and this is where I become a hypocrite, because I'm like, I played one and
But you gave it a try.
yeah. And I was like, I like it, but I wouldn't buy one, because I was like, I like my acoustics acoustic and my electrics
Mhm.
electric.
Well, I think it's one of those things. It's like the Acoustasonic is an interesting point, and I feel like Gibson does this too. They release new shapes, and usually they just get dunked on.
Mhm.
But also, to be fair, I feel like they miss the mark aesthetically a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and I feel like a lot of brands do that, and that was my main beef with the Acoustasonic. It's
Mhm.
like they've done that in the past, and it failed. They were made like ovations, so they brought it back,
Yeah.
and they do sound good, and they serve a purpose, but for me, and I think a lot of people, if it had a little bit more of a traditional acoustic shape, and Fender can do that, they
Mhm.
put Strat headstocks on acoustic guitars all the time. Like, I think it would be more widely appealing
Mhm.
because it's probably going to sound the same, and it's going to have a totally different vibe and aesthetic, where I don't get the point of having a Jazzmaster with a sound hole that doesn't really, it's not really a sound hole. It
Right.
kind of is.
Kind of.
But you know
can
what I mean?
You can yell into the body sensor pickup a little easier.
Right, but you can yell into a PAF too. Like, it's like, it's just
Well,
weird.
sometimes-
But it's like that's the thing that I don't get,
Mhm.
and there's some shapes that like, like the Meteora or whatever,
Oh.
the new, I don't like it.
Oh, I love it.
I like it
Yeah.
on
See?
bass, and I don't love it on guitar.
I think the bass works a little better. Okay,
Yeah.
because it's simpler.
I like
Yeah.
the first version with the telly, like when they had the Jim Root video of him playing it, and it was the butterscotch, and it had like the telly layout.
Mhm.
I liked that, and I was like, I want one of those. And then saw the price tag, I was like, I will not have one of those for a while.
Well, that's my big hang up. That's
Yeah.
I'm like, I genuinely think these are cool. I think they're unique. I don't think they are an acoustic guitar or an electric guitar. It's something in between, and I dig it. And especially after I heard what Jack White did with one, I was like, wait a minute.
Right.
I love
that's-
that you leaked one of them too with Jessica Dobson.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I saw her a few days later. I was like loaning her my sled, her and Peter my sled, and I was like, "How about that Jazzmaster?" She's like, "They didn't tell me it was embargoed.
Right.
They just sent it to me and said, 'Tell us what you think.'" So I talked about it, and then they're like, we forgot to mention
Oops.
it's not released yet.
It's not
So
released yet.
funny.
Yeah. They didn't ever say anything to me.
Well, I think because they knew it wasn't your fault,
Right.
and it wasn't really her fault.
No.
It was just a miscommunication. These
Yeah.
things happen.
And it wasn't a massive leak. It wasn't like, it was kind of a little bit of an in-passing thing, but I mean, a lot of people did find out about it.
I think a lot of people saw it coming.
Yeah.
Because it was a
Yeah.
big success. And I'm not trying to like, be mean to Fender. I think Fender on the whole is probably the most important. I mean, they're definitely the most important guitar company ever. But
They're
as
doing
far
so
as
much right.
bringing people to the
Yeah.
guitar, they are the people to do it. And they're doing it incredibly well.
Mm-hmm.
Because they went off of the research instead of like what
Yeah.
they felt like was, because we used to think that like men played 96% of guitars because the study of that study was based on people who insure like guitars that are over like $3,000, which happens to be mostly more established players or blues lawyers,
Mhm.
dentists and stuff like that. And they're like, well, actually, when you look at, because I always said this about music, like, yeah, maybe right now a lot of the biggest performers are men, but when you go, the farther down you go into like the beginner cycle, the more equitable it is, the more women you see. And then they kind of get booted off of bills because they get their quota filled and no more. And that's what they do sometimes. So Fender actually looked and be like, oh, well, if we actually get these people who are buying guitars and it's like actually pretty much equal, if we can get them to keep playing guitars, then they're going to keep buying guitars. And if
That's
the first guitar is a Fender, so is their second, third, and fourth probably.
Yeah.
Well, that's one thing that I kept praising them for, and I will continue to sing praises for them. Fender as a company, especially in the last few years, and that's what more so I'm referring to. They have been very inclusive, and it didn't come across as pandering.
No.
For me, I was like, okay, cool. So seeing some of their videos, like you see something like the Strat, and I'm just like, this is awesome. Like, it's not like they're like, oh yeah, let's just grab the first black person, whatever, and like, prop them
It's
up.
a great fit.
Yeah, it's a
Because
great.
she's just a phenomenal player. I caught myself.
Yeah, no, but that's the thing though. Like for me, I think that's why they're important, at least more so to this current generation, because it's just like, people may joke on something like the Billie Eilish ukulele, but I was like, but that's encouraging people to play.
People are going to
Yeah.
start with
That's
that,
the
and then
thing.
they're going to get a Telecaster or whatever, and
Yeah.
it's going to be part of their life.
Well, I mean, I think it's not kind of dumb. It's super dumb for anybody who's really invested in guitar, whether that's somebody with a gear company or whether it's somebody who just really loves the instrument, to clown on anything that's going to bring in fresh blood into it. Because
Totally.
Yeah.
guess what? Our favorite hobby doesn't exist anymore if new players don't pick up the instrument.
Yeah.
It
Or
goes
just
away.
It becomes astronomically more expensive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, you want to try out some like $500 Squires that sound great?
Mhm.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like that doesn't exist if people aren't buying them because there aren't new players. I think it was also someone at Fender who pointed out that Taylor Swift has sold more guitars like to pretty much anyone. She's like the most influential guitarist for young guitarists because it's girls buying acoustic guitars.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And that was in that article that was like, is the guitar dead? And then Fender's like, no. Like even in the article, I feel like they were the ones who were like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Who's writing this?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Those have always felt weird. And I try to remove my personal bias from it, right? But like, it doesn't even really line up with the numbers either. Like that's
No.
just based upon, those are always based upon, well, there's no big rock and roll bands on the charts now.
Yep.
And
people
it's
are
like,
buying
that
guitars,
doesn't mean
yeah.
I was
anything.
like, that's just like a gatekeeping fake
Yeah.
news, fake news.
Yeah.
They're all, it's dead because my genre is not popular.
Right.
Fake news,
Yeah.
like, that's all that
Yeah.
is. And to me, it's just absurd. Like, oh, so you think this company's dead because they're not making a guitar that's catered to you?
Yeah.
Like, it's
Well, it's like you don't have a lot of trumpets in pop music either, but they still sell a ton of them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Isn't that kind of weird?
Yeah.
When you think about it.
Yeah.
Well, and then, kind of when those articles came out, I was just like, okay, maybe the traditional thing is a little bit over in some ways. But I said, who's never cried like, oh, the guitar's dead? Guitar string companies. Like
Yeah,
I've never
that's
heard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never heard. I'm more thinking of the big ones though. Like, has D'Addario ever been like, oh boy, well, looks like we're about to close up shop
in a rough year.
Like,
Yeah.
No, they're
No.
still selling strings.
They also sell trumpets.
They sell reeds and stuff too.
They sell
don't
reeds,
they?
yeah, stuff for horns players and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
but mostly strings.
and yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
drum
there is
stuff.
some truth to like the big rock
Drum
band
stuff,
thing is
yeah.
kind of dead.
Yeah.
But
Which,
I mean,
no,
But
it's-
well,
the big rock bands,
Yeah.
the Guns N' Roses. I mean, like, there's definitely going to be those bands, but what's coming
for
like
now,
that? Yeah.
yeah,
But I don't think there's ever going to be quite the resurgence of that. Not at the level that it ever was.
mhm.
But Guitar Heroes are still going to exist. John Mayer's not going to go away. Taylor Swift's going to sell tons of guitar. Country music sells so many guitars.
Oh yeah.
yeah. I'm
You
like,
know,
okay,
there's
yeah.
more rock guitar in country music than probably most rock music
Yeah,
that's
like
on the radio.
The Brothers Osborne.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god.
Mhm.
And they're all incredible players too.
Yeah. No. Like I forget the guitarist's name.
John.
John. Yeah. He. I just love listening to him play, man.
He's great.
See,
He's a killer.
but to add on to that, I agree with you, Zach. I think as a whole, especially like nowadays, I think people have to realize that music has changed and music, like there will never be another Nirvana. I know people are like, oh yeah, the next Nirvana. There'll never be another Nirvana. However, like past couple years, there was the 1975 and they were huge and they were playing, a Fender Mustang.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I think what I've learned is we have to remove ourselves from the idea of like this idolized version of, there will always be this band because, At the Drive-In was pitched to be the next Nirvana and that didn't happen.
Right.
And it's just like,
Yeah.
I think right now with rock music, so somewhat to go off of a tangent, I think it's just going to change into this thing that no one, or it's already changing where it's bringing things in. Like you have someone like Willow Smith, and I know some people will roast me for saying
she's
it.
fun.
Yeah, but she's bringing it to a younger audience. And if she keeps going the way that she's going, I can't see the future. I think she's going to be huge.
Yeah.
And we joke on like someone like MGK. I do, and I'm not going to front about that. But at the same time, as much as I do not like that telly, they sell a lot of them.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, and he, for better or worse, he's doing something, and that's the thing that I like. You have to take my personal bias aside and just be like, well, objectively, what are they doing, and what are they doing for the community? Is it good or bad?
And Olivia Rodrigo she's got a bunch of guitars in her songs. And a lot of pop music, frankly, it does have guitar in it. It does seem to be cyclical. Like I went through and was listening to Billboard Hot 100 for every year starting in 2007, which got really difficult because the music got really not my thing. But now there's a lot of like kind of Nile Rodgers and styled funk guitar in songs. Like Lizzo's got a bunch of it.
Oh yeah.
That's an example. Party in the USA had a cool guitar. It's like a really cool guitar lick.
Mhm.
I mean that's a little bit older, but I think it's just changing how people are using it. I think like guitar solos that are like November Rain. Maybe not so much of that, but it's more like how does it suit the song instead of how does it suit having a rock god?
Yeah.
I mean,
for
but
sure.
a perfect analogy for that too is, and I'm somewhat dating myself. I remember when Snoop Dogg's Sensual Seduction came out, and the microKORG is the keyboard that is that pad sound.
Yeah.
Huh.
And there was a bunch of hip hop artists at that time that like bought a crap ton of those.
Yeah.
Because it was that sound. Like it's an easily obtainable and it's that sound. So for me, I think, we look at these artists and it's just like, our genre of choice might not be the biggest, but there are still people pushing it. And the question is like, okay, while the people right now aren't the biggest, will the future be bigger?
Yeah.
And I think we're heading in a direction where while rock might not resemble what it once was, I think we're seeing a lot in terms of resurgence to guitar-based music.
Yeah.
It's just not what we saw in the past.
It's not classic 80s
Yeah.
rock. I mean, I think that a lot of my favorite music right now is being made by women in the indie genre. They're all inspired more by like Liz Phair's guitar playing
Mhm.
Yeah.
than David Gilmour's.
Yeah.
And you can tell, you can hear it. You can hear like they listen to a lot of Liz Phair, Sheryl Crow, Shania Twain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But like to kind of add to that, like I know some of my friends in the post-hardcore scene, like I was like, yeah, that genre was dead, and it was like this is dead and buried. But however, you look at a band like Turnstile right now, and they're huge.
Yeah.
Killing
it.
They're huge.
Yeah.
And it's just like, but at the same time, it's just like, bands like that, I'm just like, okay, they're doing something. What are they doing? And it's like they're going to go on and influence, much like My Chemical Romance, influence a ton of people to come. And it is very
cyclical.
Yes.
There you go.
So, well, I'm just curious to see what's going to happen next. Because I anytime someone says guitar is dead, I'm just like, that's some boomer shit. It's not. You just get over it. Like, I'm just curious to see how it's going to be implemented.
We're in a pretty big building right now that is largely financed by the sales of guitar-based things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How many a day go out of the door?
I don't know.
They
a
said
lot.
they had
700 to 1,000.
I want to say it was like 1,000 or 1,100. It was some large number. I was like, damn.
It's 5 figures in the warehouse right now.
It's wild.
It's insane. It is Raiders of the Lost Ark. It is.
Yes.
It is. And I think circling back to Sweetwater, where we're sitting and recording this, the warehouse is awe-inspiring.
Oh my gosh.
From proficiency, but just the sheer level of inventory. It's so incredible.
Right.
I thought I was going to feel like Belle in Beauty and the Beast when she saw the library for the first time. But it was very Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I made the same comment.
Yeah, and one thing that the guys giving us the tour said, they said that, so people are like, where's all your inventory? It's everything's sold out. And they're like, well, it gets online and then it sells immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, that's where it goes. So if you want something, you better watch for it.
Mhm.
So,
Or pre-order it.
or that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that feels like a good, nice plug to wrap this up. I see that I got some people waiting for me outside. So let's let you guys plug your guys' stuff real quick, and then we'll jet on.
Oh, everybody's looking at me. I was like, okay, I'll start.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jason again. I am with Working Class Music. You can find us on Instagram at WCM Show, or you can look up our YouTube channel where I think we're pretty cool. And
Mm-hmm.
we have. So. Thank you. And if you're listening to this, definitely use everybody that's in here, use our affiliate links. We all have them. And that would definitely help us out.
Yeah.
So,
My favorite way to support
yes.
Get Offset Podcast, which is my channel. It's Get Offset on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Emily on Guitars on Twitter. That's my Twitter. And check out my bands Sunday Crush, and Jerf, JERF. And I got music out there too at EmilyEffingHarris.com, but you would actually spell out the F word.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite URL.
That's awesome. And I'm Zach from the Dipped in Tone podcast. And we have an Instagram. We never use it. We're just on YouTube, Dipped in Tone, and podcast places. And then I make Mythos Pedals with a small crew in Nashville. So check out mythospedals.com for all things fuzzy and distorted, and I don't know, some
wonderful,
some
and
boomer pedals.
Some boomer pedals.
There's a place you got if you want to make boomer music.
That's right. Yeah, just like Zach.
Thank you guys. This is a lot of fun.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, great. So for Jason, Emily, and Zach, this is Blake. And as always, folks, good luck and good tones. That was a great time. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoy all of those people. So please check out everything that they do. They do a lot of stuff. And if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably going to like the stuff that they do. And the links for all of that will be in the show notes of this podcast. But as you heard, I had a guest waiting outside, so we had to cut this conversation, well, not short, but shorter than I would have liked to have, because we were really on a roll, I felt like. But I did have a very special guest waiting outside. And if you are a patron of the podcast, if you're a supporter of the show, you're going to get to hear that basically whenever you want, because it's available right now for people who support the show either through Patreon or through Apple Podcasts premium subscriptions. That is available right this moment. Everyone else is going to have to wait for, I'm not really sure how long at this point, because time is a construct and I don't know where I am. Yes, I'm exhausted. I'm rambling, but I thank you for hanging out with me to this point. If you're still listening to me talk, I really think you should probably go do something else, because I'm not saying a whole lot at this point. I'm just talking about, a lot of, all right, I got to go to bed. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you on the internet very soon. Bye-bye. One last thing before we totally sign off here. I just want to remind you that if you do any shopping at Stringjoy, that's Stringjoy guitar strings made in Nashville, that will help me out as well. As I've said for years, I'm heavily involved in that company, and I really do think they're making the best products on the market. So if you would like to try custom strings, go to tonemob.com/stringjoy and check them out today. I seriously love what the team down there is doing. I help them out with all kinds of things, and by you supporting them, you are also supporting me as well. And hey, you need some strings, so why not get some custom strings just for your guitar and playing style? Again, the link for that is tonemob.com/stringjoy, and that will take you right to their website, and you can do all your shopping through there, and that will help everyone involved out. So thank you very much. Talk to you next time. We are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Gun Street Wiring Shop. Yes, Gun Street Wiring Shop. I've talked about them before. I used to say based out of Bend, Oregon, but guess what? Sean moved to my neck of the woods. Sean's in Portland. Sean is awesome and has helped me with a bunch of stuff lately. And if you have wiring needs for your guitar, he can help you too. If you want to get weird with it, he can get weird. If you just need to spruce things up a little bit, there's your guy. He takes all the guesswork out of doing your guitar wiring, and he makes it simple, and his customer service is top-notch, and I can't say enough good things about Gun Street as a company. I really respect Sean and what he's all about, and the product is top-notch. I've got 3 different guitars that now have Gun Street harnesses in them, and I could not be happier. So go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and check them out.